I'm gonna take a step, or maybe 5 steps backwards with this one. Transformers Cybertron Deluxe Hot Shot and Deluxe Cybertron Defense Hot Shot. 2 for the price of 1. The pack, wait. These were bought used. Good. So let's talk about origins instead. The name Hotshot was first applied to the leader of the Spy Changer group in the 2001 Transformers Robots in Disguise series. The name would see reuse for the Yellow Kid appeal character from the next series, Transformers Armada, and remained a staple character through Energon and Cybertron. Oddly though, this Cybertron iteration deviated from previous shows by having Hotshot be blue rather than yellow, possibly because this wasn't initially intended to be the same character. That said, a change is as good as a rest, as the robot mode looks remarkably good in less than traditionally Hotshot color scheme, which was tried once with the Legends version of this figure, but no one cares about that. There are vague echoes of a certain rod that was hot between the design of his shins and somewhat hard to notice 3-barreled gun in his door wings. Cybertron Defense Hotshot eschews the references and instead shows a lot more bulk and chunk and really big wheels. I find it marginally odd for an upgraded form of the character. The figure is slightly shorter, head height wise anyway. Heft and relative size, they are about on par as deluxe figures of their time. Posability is also pretty telling of the time as well. While this wasn't too bad given the era these figures were released, the limitations compared to modern figure standards leaves a lot to be desired. CD Hotshot gets the worst of it though. Despite being a supposedly upgraded form, the posability is even stiffer. Granted, this was a time more about the gimmickry than being all that limber. As such, it would come as no surprise that these guys have some pretty nifty accessories. Hotshot comes with a Velocitron Cyber Planet key and a missile launcher. Or he would, but as this was a loose figure, I only have the key. In robot mode, said key will deploy wings from the backpack, which further emphasizes likeness to Hot Rod. CD Hotshot comes with a standard Autobot Cyber key, which opens up missile bays from the backpack, and together with various flip-open panels, turns this chunk master into competitor for Gundam Heavy Arms. He also comes with a blade that can be held in the hand, on the end of his arm, or it can be clipped into the leg for storage. Both figures share mostly similar transformations as far as what goes where, and said conversion is extremely simple, though I will note that for CD Hotshot to get his shoulders out going to robot mode, do remember to pull the front section forward first. These things are kind of stiff. Hotshot is supposedly a heavily modified Chrysler ME412, which translate to me as another not quite Earth vehicle and not quite cybercar either, but at least leaning more towards the former than the latter. It's quite a big deluxe vehicle by current standards, not to mention sleek. Well, if you ignore the key port, which does still work in this mode to deploy his Accelewing. If I had the missile launcher that came with this, it would plug into the 5mm port here as well, though given the standard size, it can fit most any compatible 5mm weapon you may have instead. CD Hotshot, on the other hand, takes the form of a modded M1117 Guardian Armored Security Vehicle, which kind of stands in the face of Hotshot's speedy tendencies. Still quite big, though more tall than wide in this case. The turret can spin all around, the cannons move up and down, and of course the Cyber Key still deploys missiles the same way. And if that's not enough firepower, there are more missiles up in the front, though unfortunately they're not actually painted. Oh, they also both roll quite well. And CD Hotshot has some Minicom ports I may have neglected to mention, so there's that. To conclude, I'd like to say that these figures have aged pretty well considering what time they're from. The detail, heft, and gimmicks all come together to form some pretty solid packages. Sure, the robot modes leave something to be desired, and the basic transformations don't leave a whole lot to the imagination, but it still all works the way it should, and the designs and details are such a breath of fresh air in a time when everything is G1 redone to the max. I'd say if you know that you're getting into a sub-modern style of engineering, it can't go wrong picking up these figures or one of their variants if you happen to come across them. That said, there is a Generation Selects version of CD Hotshot that comes from the Hound mold if you really much rather have something with better articulation and the like. though I personally feel like its existence is kind of more of an obligatory nod than a true replacement for this, even with an upgrade kit. Anyway, this has been a Devasia Mentality Review, RCFS, and out!